Okay, good morning, happy people. This morning I am going to make chickpea scramble. So I have my garbanzo bean flour right here, 1 cup, and I am going to start with a half cup of, well, no, take that back. I'm going to put my seasonings in, and I put everything that I use at the beginning so that way you can get all your stuff out. So we're going to put a 1/4 teaspoon of salt, a 1/4 teaspoon of cayenne pepper, 1 tablespoon of basil, 1/4 teaspoon of thyme, and because I love onion powder, 2 tablespoons of onion powder. And we're just gonna mix this all together first, and let the dry be mixed with the dry. Just kind of lightly mix this together. And then I'm going to use sea moss. I have 3 tablespoons of sea moss, and you can use whatever seasonings that you want as well. And then I'm going to start with 1 cup of water, 1/2 cup of water, I'm sorry, just to see what consistency I get. And then I'll take the handy dandy whisk. And this bowl may be a little too small, but it's okay. And I hope that's not too dark. So I'm just going to stir that up. I think I'm going to stir it with a fork. You get the same effect with a fork. So this is still a little too thick because the consistency that I'm looking for is pancake batter. So I'm going to take another 1/2 cup of water, and we're going to stir. And it's still a little too thick. Next time I'll use a 1/2 cup of flour, or you can use, because you don't want to make a lot, you can put this batter in the refrigerator and use it another day, but next time I'm just going to use a 1/2 cup of flour. So I'm going to go with another 1/2 cup of water. I have my spring water, my Crystal Geyser spring water. So I'm going to go with another 1/2 cup. We're just going to pour it in slowly. So we're just going to say 1 cup of flour. You're going to use 1.5 cups of water. So far we used 1.5 cups of water. We're just going to keep mixing that up. Let's get this a little closer so you can see what I'm doing. So I'm just going to, just kind of like you're beating eggs. And it's still a little thick. I usually don't measure anything, so this is where the problem is coming in at for me. I usually just pour stuff in a bowl and then just add water till I get the right consistency that I want. But then I realized that in making videos, you can't just do what you want. You just have to kind of go by the book. But as you become a master chef in your kitchen, you can probably do that as well. So I'm just going to add a little bit more water because I want it a little thin, not a lot, because you have to think, well, I'll tell you about that later. But so I'm just going to whisk that a little bit. And I'm just kind of turning the bowl, just getting everything, just to make sure that it's mixed well. So you can see the consistency, and you can add more water if you like. It depends on, so that's similar to pancake batter, but just a little thicker. So I would just say waffle batter. So I have a tablespoon of oil heating up in my cast iron skillet. So the first thing we're going to do once that heats up is to add the batter. And we're going to add this batter just like we would add, like it is going to look like a pancake, a very large pancake. The grease is hot, and I usually test it by putting a drop or two of the batter in the pan, and you can hear it sizzle. You don't want the cast iron skillet to smoke, so I'm going to use a measuring cup to pour some batter onto the cast iron skillet. So we're going to pour some batter onto the cast iron skillet, and I take my spoon and spread it, because you don't want it to be really thick and you don't want it to be real thin. But I find that using a spoon works better to spread. And this could be a little thinner, so I'm just going to add a little bit more because I want it to be like a very large pancake. And you just let that cook on one side. And you know your stove top, so you know how high to turn it on to cook with your cast iron skillet. Now, depending on how much you spread and how thin it is, flipping can be a challenge, and this is kind of big. So let's hope that I flip this and it stays intact. Not that it really matters, because once I show you what we're going to do with it after it's brown on both sides, you'll see what I'm talking about. Okay, here we go. That wasn't too bad. So just flip it, and then here's the next step. It doesn't really have to be brown all the way on the other side before you do the next step. So we're just going to take our spatula, and this is why I have this one, and we're just going to kind of chop this up into squares. And this is the scramble part of the chickpea scramble. So this is like mock eggs, and I guess if you make it a little thicker, it'll it will act like mock eggs. So we're just gonna kind of, or you can do this on a plate once it's brown, a little bit brown on one side. So just kind of get it into little squares. This is hot, be careful. And as you can see, we got little pieces of garbanzo bean flour. So the next step is to add the vegetables. And then you're gonna I can just put this off to the side, or you can take it off if you want to. It depends on how much you want your vegetables sauteed. So I'm gonna add some mushrooms, and I'm going to add the green pepper, red pepper, and onion mixture. I'm trying to do a little bit more raw, so I'm going to lightly saute this, but you can saute it as hard as you want. And usually what I do is I don't add more oil. I'll just add a little water just so I can saute it more. And if you want to add seasonings to your stir-fry vegetables, you can do that as well. And I have a little seasoning packet already made up. It has cayenne pepper, a dab of salt, and onion powder. So I'm going to just add a little bit of that to my mixture. And it's totally up to you. This is your chickpea scramble. Like I said, we leave that off to the side. And like I said, you can really probably benefit from taking it off out of the skillet, so that way you can saute your vegetables first and then add it. So we're just going to take this off and put this off to the side. It makes life a little easier, so you can use the whole skillet to saute your vegetables. So I'm just going to say, just take your chickpea, your garbanzo bean flour mix out and saute your vegetables. Like I said, I'm just gonna lightly saute mine. You can saute yours a little bit longer depending on how raw you want your vegetables. So that's sauteed light enough for me. Not a lot, just a few minutes. But like I said, this is my preference for today. So I'm going to take the chickpea scramble, because you're going to saute some more. Put that in there and mix it all together. And as you're mixing, the garbanzo bean flour mix or the chickpea, whatever you want to call it, the chickpea scramble, will absorb the water from the vegetables, and that's what makes it look like scrambled eggs. Now you can add more, depending on how many vegetables you have, you can make more of the batter and add it with the vegetables, and it resembles scrambled eggs. I don't know if you can see it or not. You just kind of saute it, and the chickpeas or the garbanzo beans, the mix, it kind of gets mushy. Can you see it? It resembles scrambled eggs. Can you see that? Well, it is time for breakfast. This has been another Electric Gigi production. I am going to sample this, and I put, well, let me just tell you what I have. I have some fresh coconut milk made from the brown coconut, the old coconut, sweetened. I have a little salsa here, and then I have my chickpea scramble. This is going to be so good, guys. I'm so sorry that you have to see me eating. I hope you enjoy your chickpea scramble, and you can, like I said, you can always tweak the recipe using a half a cup of garbanzo bean flour. I would definitely use less salt. 1/4 teaspoon of salt is just maybe just a little bit, so just a pinch of salt, because we're trying to, you know, I guess too much salt is not always good. But oh, wait a minute, I'm sorry, let me taste this. This is really good. Sauteed lightly. I'm sorry, guys, it's breakfast time. This is really good. And the coconut milk is so good. I don't know if you like coconut. I would definitely suggest making the coconut milk from the old coconut. And per Dr. Sadie, we can make coconut milk using the old coconut, but this is excellent. This is my first time drinking fresh coconut milk from an old coconut. But guys, I hope you enjoyed it, and subscribe to my channel, and I'll have lots more to come. And I hope I'm not talking too much. I think I am, so I may edit some of this out. I don't know, but here we go again. It's time to say goodbye. Bye. Mwah. So long. Until next time. Yes, it's not that early, but I'm still goofy. Bye.